This interview episode is brought to you by Tyree Off-Road Lights for people that need to get shit done. Visit tyreoffroad.com right now. That's Tyri offroad.com. Hey, Wes Beaman, am I saying that right? Is it Beaman?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever watch the show Beakman's World?
Yep.
Do you hate it because of the name?
No.
Wes Beaman is a lifelong builder, fabricator, and off-roader with a passion for learning, creating, and sharing. He is a mechanical force behind Beaman Builds, the brand he and his wife Debbie launched in August 2024 to document their journey building, modifying, and testing their own vehicles, including their LS Swap 1998 Jeep Wrangler TJ. So is that dangerous to drive? Be honest with me.
If you're driving it on the road, 100%. It is made for a purpose, and it's best to use it for its purpose. I
never can have enough horsepower. I speak with my friend Greg, and he talks about a car, this Charger or whatever that he was working on with so much horsepower, and he goes, people can't drive with that much horsepower. I said, try me. He goes, it's a $3 million Charger, and I said, well, I'd feel nervous about driving that, but give me another one with 1,200, 1,700 horsepower. I mean, I just think it'd be just so much fun. And yeah, you make mistakes. You have to learn the vehicle, but as long as you don't wrap it around something, you should be okay. Anyway, the 1998 Jeep Wrangler TJ is known as Is it Wesicon or Wesicon?
Wesicon, yep.
Wesicon. And
I lack creativity, so everything's just named simply.
That's fine. And their 2021 Eco Diesel Wrangler Rubicon Debicon. Now, I don't want to go too far down the road here because we're doing an intro, but did that come as a diesel or did you put a diesel in it?
No, it's a stock Eco Diesel.
Okay, good. I just thought, man, that's something there. I think I would have gone with a TDI or something, but then again, I don't know what I'm talking about. Wes originally started wheeling over 20 years ago before stepping away to focus on raising a family. Oh, those damn kids. And with Debbie and their 4 children, now almost empty nesters, Wes and Debbie, that's just reading this as almost empty nesters. This makes the remaining child or children feel bad. I'm holding the parents back.
My son, he's almost there. 1 year left.
Okay. Anyway, now almost empty nesters, Wes and Debbie have returned to the trails with a renewed passion, creating Beaman Builds to share their adventures, knowledge, and mechanical projects with the off-road and diesel communities. Whether he's tuning on Jeeps or building their latest projects, Side Piece, which I think is the name of the project, a 1,200 plus horsepower dyno queen designed for quarter-mile racing and eighth-mile racing, and maybe even a little sled pulling. You're going to break something, sled pulling, I think. But that's fine. I think you like fixing and building things. If it breaks, you got to build it better, right?
That's right. That's the whole point.
Wes brings not just hands-on experience, but a deep thirst for learning and a true love of sharing knowledge with others. His focus is simple: build stronger, play harder, and help others chase their own adventures with confidence. Now, we talked a little bit before we got started here, and when you say help others, you're not running a business here. This is just something that you and Debbie enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm super passionate. Like the whole reason, I don't know how I talked my wife into this crazy thing, but one of the things I wanted to accomplish, the whole reason I wanted to start a YouTube channel was to be able to help people. So whether it's, how to do a little modification on your Jeep, how to wheel. So off camera, we were talking a little bit about what it's like to wheel as someone new to the trail. And, that is intimidating. So I like the opportunity to teach people how to wheel, how to maintain your vehicle, how to recover your vehicle, how to do little fixes, how to do big fixes. So it's one of my passions is really to try and teach people. And you know what? If you have a passion for it, maybe you're not doing a bunch of custom development on a totally custom Jeep, but maybe you just want to do a lift kit or you want to be able to throw on a bumper. And I'd love the opportunity to help teach people that passion, like you get a lot of pride when you build something yourself. And I've had a great opportunity to build a lot of vehicles myself, and I've gotten that pride, and I want to share that with a lot of other people because there's a lot of people that want to do it, but they're too scared because they don't know yet. So I'd love to introduce people to that side of the hobby.
So, if you don't mind, what is your main profession? The thing that you actually make money with?
So I was in the military for years and years, and then when I got out of the military, I got into IT. So I am definitely not a mechanic by trade. However, I grew up. My dad was a mechanic, and I had a lot of mentors. And one of the things they always told me is don't be a mechanic as a
Yeah.
job because it's really, really hard. So the beauty of being a mechanic as a hobby is when I'm really tired of working on my car or my truck or my Jeep, I can go inside. I don't
Right.
have to have it done by tomorrow. There's no restrictions. So it's a lot more fun when you don't have those barriers, I guess, or those stressors that, oh man, that thing has to get done tomorrow because the customer's coming to pick it up. So it's something I've enjoyed. I've been doing it since I was a kid. Like I've been building cars since I was 14 years old, 15 years old was my first vehicle I started to build.
So the reason why I ask is, do you find that your mechanicking helps you in IT? I'm also from an IT background, and I've noticed that there are people in IT that feel inadequate or nervous about doing some things. And I think that knowing how to work on something that you depend on, because a lot of us depend on our vehicles to get back and forth to work, that gives you the confidence of screw it, I will make it work. I will figure it out. I will get it going. And I see some of these kids today, they don't have that kind of attitude in their work environment. Have you noticed that, or is it just me?
I have noticed that, but one of the things I'll say specifically to people that are in technology as a career is so I actually have someone I work with that he loves cars and he watches our YouTube videos and he always wants to go build stuff himself, but he's really scared. And what I've told specifically people that are in technology is if you have learned the ability to troubleshoot technology, right? It's like this thing on a computer isn't working, this thing in the network isn't working, whatever it is. You learn really good troubleshooting skills of how to get from point A to point B. It's like, oh, I test this, I test this, I test this, I test this. Working on a vehicle is remarkably simple.
Right.
A lot of technology, you're looking for resources online. Like no one knows everything. Same thing with automotive.
Mhm.
And then a lot of it is trial and error. Same thing in automotive. So I honestly think people specifically in technology, if you have the desire, you have a really good base. So that gentleman I work with, he really wanted to change out his shocks. And it was going to be really, really expensive for him to do, to pay someone else to do it. I'm like, just
Yeah.
go do it, like
It's a
shocks are
shock.
cheap.
Come on. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I walked him through exactly what to do. And I'm like, don't worry. If you get stuck, you'll be able to figure it out because you already know basic troubleshooting skills. So sure enough, he ran into a snag when he was changing out his shocks. He couldn't get the eyelets to line up to get his bolt in.
I thought you were going to say he cut the strap too soon and then it wouldn't fit.
So he came into work Monday morning and he was just like to the moon happy. Like one of those things
Yeah.
where you can see
It's
from the door,
accomplishment.
you're like, man, this guy is just on cloud nine. He's really proud of himself. So he comes in and he's like, I figured it out, man. I got my shocks on. And I was like, yeah, I told you it wouldn't be that hard. And he's like, but it was hard. I found this. So he had to,
It always is.
he had to finagle a tool to get the bolts to line up. But he was so proud of himself that he was able to troubleshoot that
Yeah.
and figure it out. So he got that satisfaction. And in my opinion, like I always joke with people, I'm like, I actually don't like working on cars. And they're like, what do you mean you don't like working on cars? You spend all your time working on cars. It seems impossible. And I'm like, it's not that I like working on cars. I love the satisfaction of completing a car. I love the satisfaction of doing an engine swap and having it start. I love the satisfaction of doing a lift kit and taking it out wheeling and it's way better than it was before.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I've said it for a long time that I don't like working on vehicles. I don't like working on my Jeeps. I'm just poor. But there's
100%.
there's two caveats to that. I don't like having somebody else work on my stuff because I promise you, nobody is going to care as much about your vehicle as you do. They can be very professional, they can be very good, but they are not going to care about it as much as you. And I can do anything that I need to my vehicles to make it work. It might take me 3 times, but after the 3rd time, I know how to do it. There's certain things that I won't do, and that really is differentials, but I'm sure I could do differentials if I had to. I just don't know how many sets of differentials I'd go through getting it right. So
I will definitely say I've roached a couple of sets.
there you go.
But it is a learning lesson. It is something you can learn. The I think that's a great statement though, is like no one is going to care as much as you. And that's one of the things that's always frustrating is, you take your car to the dealership and you're expecting like this super high
Oh yeah.
level trained person to be taking care of it. And 9 times out of 10, it's a guy that just got out of school, barely knows what he's doing. And the guy that actually does know what he's doing is so busy that he can't give the guy that doesn't know what he's doing enough time to teach him properly.
Yeah, it's like Ron Swanson in Home Depot looks at the guy and says, "I know more than you."
Those commercials are the best, dude. I love the Ron Swanson stuff.
Yeah. So the other thing I do is if somebody does work on my vehicle, I'm watching them. I don't drop my vehicle off. I go and stand and watch, and that even means standing outside the bay in the sun or the heat, watching them do it, because I don't want to make them nervous. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I mean, if they miss something or they're doing something I think is unsafe for my vehicle, I will say something about it. But I definitely don't want to be one of those people that hover and tell people what to do, because I should have just done it myself otherwise, because I don't like people that hover over me. But at the same time, you need to make sure that you're not going to bend or break something.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, you can just see, when something's not put together, right? Like, have you ever picked up your vehicle after someone worked on it and you drive it, like, you don't even need to drive it out of the parking lot and you're like, nope. It's worse than when I dropped it off. Like, I dropped it off to fix this problem, but now it feels like you broke this other problem.
Yeah. I have an XJ that I bought brand new back in 97, 98. I forget which one it was. And I haven't driven it really in a couple of years since we got the Gladiator. I got the Gladiator in 21. I found out the Gladiator not only can I go wheeling in the Gladiator, I can drive it to the location in comfort, wheel, and then drive it back at home in comfort. So the Gladiator originally was going to be a tow vehicle for the XJ. But anyway, back to the XJ. So I got a set of long arms for the XJ. Spoke to the builder, and he says, "Yeah, you can put the belly pan on, no problem, but it does need to be welded to the unibody frame." So he goes, "Just don't take it off road, but you can drive it with it just bolted on." I said, "Okay, great." So I'm set up an appointment with a company that does rear end differentials, but they also do other work. Took it over there to get it. There was a couple of things. I wanted them to clock the Atlas because I only could do so much, and they did clock the Atlas up tighter, which was really nice. Now that's really nice. I still got to fix that hole in the floor though. Anyway, took it over there and I went to get it, and they had it for like 5 days. I mean, there was so much stuff they were gonna have to do. I couldn't just stand there while they and watch while they did it. Picked it up. First thing I did was look to make sure the belly pan was welded. This is critical. This is a unibody that the thing is going on to. And if you take it off road, it's more than likely going to pull bolts and things are going to fall. So I went and looked, no welds. The main reason for me taking it over there was to get the long arm belly pan welded to the unibody. They didn't weld it.
And the most frustrating part about that is you probably looked at your bill and it probably said weld cross member or weld skid plate, and it still wasn't done.
It was, and yeah, I dropped off the instructions with the long arm kit. I installed the long arm kit. I just needed it welded. So it wasn't even like they had to do the whole thing, which may be one of the reasons why they didn't read the fucking instructions. Anyway, so I went and got the owner of the place and said, "Hey man, the belly pan is not welded on there." So that's the reason why I brought it there. They looked. The mechanic that was working for this guy went out there and looked, and he was like, I've installed a lot of long arm systems. We never weld. I said, was it on an XJ? Was it on a unibody? And he storms off. I mean, literally storms off into the shop, gets the instructions, and I'm looking at him across the shop. He's looking at the instructions, and he takes them. He just goes, he gets mad and he throws them. So it's right there in the instructions. So I got it welded while I waited. And I mean, I don't blame somebody for not reading the instructions, but there was a communication loss between the owner and the mechanic, because I told him the reason why I'm bringing this over there. I need this welded. And then, hey, could you clock the Atlas transfer case? and a couple other things. So anyway, that's my point as far as nobody's going to care as much about your vehicle as you do. Honest mistakes happen. I understand. But if I hadn't checked, then I would have been driving. Maybe I'd taken it off road. And that's whenever I found out when, things started popping and falling off, and the long arms weren't long arming anymore, that it was an issue. So kids, a cautionary tale. Don't just assume somebody's going to do what you ask them to do. Check it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the fundamental problems is people don't, it's both sides. A lot of shops are not quality shops. And I always tell people, if you're going to take it somewhere, not everyone has the skill set or the tooling to do a lot of these big jobs. And I get that. But if you're going to take it somewhere, try and take it to someone reputable, like in your friend group, in your Jeeping club. Get someone that's already gone to a group before, just to make sure that you're not getting screwed over. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the novices or people that are new to the sport get a really bad taste in their mouth. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and you're spending some big money for these things because the people don't work cheap. They shouldn't have to, but they don't work cheap. And these are critical things that are your safety or your family's safety, especially maybe it's your wife's vehicle or your wife's Jeep, and you don't want her crashing because somebody didn't pay attention to what they were doing.
Well, and again, like going back to safety, if you think about what we do with Jeeps, right? Some of us go on very long trips, very far away from civilization. So let's say you take yourself, your spouse, and a couple of kids. You're new to the hobby, so you're not well prepared. You don't have a lot of food, don't have a lot of water, and you go way back in the country because you're like, oh, I'm just taking it on a dirt road. And then your vehicle breaks down or your long arm rips off because it didn't weld it properly.
Or something's washed out and you got to go over this thing, or there's a boulder or a tree. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that happen.
But then you get stuck out there because your equipment doesn't work the way you think it does.
Right.
Because the person you took it to did not take the care that you would have taken care. So even if you don't know, ask a friend that does know. And if you're like, I really encourage the new people out there, get into a club. There's a million Jeep clubs for every level of person. So if you're brand new starting, if you're super experienced, there's a Jeep club for you. Get into a Jeep club, because I guarantee someone in that Jeep club could have looked over that and been like, hey, they didn't weld your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll take it one step further. Whenever you get a recommendation from somebody at a club or a friend of yours or whatever, ask them what they had done by that shop or whatever, because there are people that it's their buddy, or they're trying to help a shop get going, and they haven't actually had any work done. So they're saying great things, but they have no firsthand experience.
I've definitely experienced that one.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh yeah, they're amazing. They're the best at lift kits. Like, oh, what'd you have them do? Oh, they rotated my tires. It's like, okay, well, that's a little different work there.
Yeah. Well, I've heard good things, and like, okay, next. I mean, be polite, of course, but I encourage you getting somebody that's had something done, hopefully done what you're looking to have done. And that way there's some firsthand experience there. It's never a guarantee, because they can change mechanics. They can have somebody working on it that doesn't normally work on it. Yeah. So it's always a crapshoot. And this is the one we're getting back to why I do my own work. I'm not saying there's not good folks out there. There is, absolutely is. But
we're blessed in Utah. Like, there's a great group of mechanics around Moab. There's a great group of mechanics around Hurricane. So it's like 23 Diesel. I'll tell you what, those guys, 100% reliable, always there for you. One of my buddies, we were out, and again, I do like hardcore wheeling, so we break stuff all the time. One of my buddies broke an axle, and one of the owners of 23 Diesel actually ran us up an axle that he had in his shop. Just to help us out, because we were like, we're going to be without wheeling for a day. And he's like, hey, I'm only 5 minutes away. Let me run you up an axle. It's like, that's kind of people they are. Then you got Dixie 4x4 down there. You have Dixie 4x4 in Moab as well. Great people. They're going to take care of you. They're always stocked up. So it's like, find a good shop. They're out there. You just got to find them.
Did you hear about Tara?
Huh? She
left Dixie 4x4.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. She just posted that last week, I think, which I was surprised. But you got to do other things sometimes. But I think that's a shame. All right. So the thing I wanted to ask you about, how long has it been since you were in a stock Jeep off-road?
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
So when you're teaching somebody about how to off-road, do you remember well enough with the stock Jeep, or maybe not the heavily modified Jeep that you have, that you're teaching somebody how to wheel?
Well, so my wife's Jeep is not, I wouldn't say heavily modified. It's, it's this traditional evolution. A lot of people that would be listening to this is, started out with a little lift kit and bigger tires and wheels. Then we upgraded to new axles and new gears and bigger tires and bigger lift and bigger, so it's evolved. But that one I do remember. The thing I will say though is like I've been wheeling for over 20 years. Like I was at Easter Jeep Safari back when people didn't go there and it wasn't full of people. So it's like I have a lot of experience in what things used to be like. My first off-roading vehicle was a Datsun pickup truck that I built out of a Jeep Scrambler frame. And It was all because I couldn't get insurance when I was 16. So I built that myself, but it wasn't capable. Like it was a hodgepodge of junkyard parts. Mm-hmm. And so
it makes you appreciate now, but it makes you really appreciate what you got now.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that's very interesting is, so I've wheeled over the course of like, we'll say like this is 10 years of time. I had a Datsun pickup truck that was on a Scrambler frame with a Datsun 4-cylinder. I had a Chevy Blazer, like a 1982 Chevy Blazer. I had a Range Rover that was kind of like set up as an overlanding before overlanding was a thing. Mm-hmm. 2 Toyota pickup trucks, a Jeep TJ that was bone stock 31s that I used to take out in Moab. It's done the whole freaking trifecta. So what that did though, and I will say to anybody, the opportunity to wheel a less capable rig and doing that will make you a better driver.
Yep, I hear this repeatedly. Yes.
So if you don't have the capability, you'll be a better driver. A lot of people that jump up into a 392 Rubicon that's lifted.
Oh, could you imagine that being your first Jeep and taking that off for the first time, your $100,000 Jeep?
And you have 2 problems going for you is
you got too much horsepower.
It's too much Jeep for you. And you're going to break it. Yeah. It's like the 2 things. So I still feel like I understand, but I will say it's a drug. So you know what I mean? Like you're into, you get into drugs, you get into alcoholics, or you get into, whatever is your hobby, and you keep wanting to push it a little more. So It's like, hey, a Jeep on 33s is cool. What can I do with 35s? Oh, 35s are cool. What can I do with 37s? Then you end up like me and I'm on 43s and stretched and everything else is done. But what you end up with is now you have to do trails that are so ridiculously hard to get the same.
Because it's like pointless to do the simple stuff that you were doing back with the stock Jeep or near stock. Yeah. And you also get into a lot of off camber, which means, do you have a roll cage in your Jeep?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. What about your wife's?
She's got a stock roll cage.
There you go. So you spend more time with your Jeep than on mine.
Yeah. Well, honestly, so Deb's Jeep's probably going to be the next one that we do on our YouTube channel. So we've gone through Debicon like 1.0, and we've gone up to like Debicon 2.3 now, because we've been slowly modifying. But she kind of wants to graduate her Jeep to like ultimate status before Trail Hero. So I think her Jeep's going to be pretty ridiculous here pretty soon. So she's probably going to get a Beaman Builds, Beaman Builds suspension. Uh-huh. And I have 1 tons, the whole shebang. We'll see how much she wants to go. The thing is what I was getting at earlier with like running a mostly stock Jeep. The modern Jeep, if you have a JK Rubicon or a JL Rubicon, you have what used to be the best thing around. Like when I was wheeling hardcore back in the day in Moab 20 years ago, I had 35s on like a 4-inch lift, revolver shackles, crappy steering, crappy brakes, 4-cylinder. And that was considered an ultimate wheeling rig. Like people would
Right.
come up to me like, man, you got a bad Toyota. That's the best truck I've ever seen. And now a stock, bone stock JK or JL will outwheel that every day of the week with ease.
Oh, and hats off to Jeep. They have done some wild engineering. You have a TJ. I mean, a TJ, especially with the Dana 30 on the front end, you know, if you didn't have a Rubicon, I'm guessing the Rubicon came with 44s front and rear, the TJs. And if you didn't have that, you have the Dana 30, and that 30 is going to break if you get too big a tire on it. I mean, locked on 35s is really, really risky. So
I broke my rear axle. So I had a 2000 Jeep TJ, like in 2001, and I was wheeling up, just not even a hard trail. It was a little area we went for like testing in Farmington Canyon in Utah. And I was wheeling, and there's this trick you can do if you don't have lockers. You can engage your emergency brake. So you have like a handheld emergency brake, and you can pull it and kind of like trick it into being a limited slip a little bit.
Right.
And I was just hell bent on making it up this hill. So I was like, yeah, on the e-brake, and
the trick was on you.
Yeah, I pushed it hard enough that I broke the freaking axle, and I was wheeling by myself, and I broke it at 10 p.m. at night.
Perfect.
So, and it was winter time, so it was like 33 degrees outside.
And there was no cell service.
I actually did have cell. I was lucky enough.
Oh, good.
So I called a friend of mine, funny enough, a Toyota guy, one of my Toyota buddies from
I told you those Jeeps are crap. Yeah.
Oh, 100%, dude. That hurt so bad. And I was up there all freaking night. Luckily, he found an axle and he brought it up to me. I was up there till 2 a.m. fixing it. But Dana 30 front, Dana 35 C-clip rear.
Oh, no.
It was the worst, man.
Yes.
And like, honestly, modern day Jeepers, like I keep saying, a JL, I get a little frustrated with the electronics. We had a new friend, so somebody that was coming through from Canada. We ended up having a conversation with them. They were on their way to EJS, and I had a rear storage assembly for a JL. He needed one. So I met him off a marketplace, but when he got to us, he was having electronics issues, so it wouldn't let him lock in four-wheel drive. So he popped in the shop. I helped him. He still had issues. We ended up meeting him up at EJS and getting them all sorted. But the main thing with JLs is, honestly, they're amazingly capable, amazingly reliable. The only thing is, like, when your sensor says, no, you don't get to go into four-wheel drive, it's like a TJ, you pull a lever, it goes into four-wheel.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's like the electronics is a pain, but man, you are so spoiled with the JK or JL. They are right off the assembly line. If you have a Rubicon, they are extremely capable.
So there's two reasons why I don't buy Rubicons. The first reason, which is the most important, I can't afford it. And the second reason is I like putting my own shit in there.
I agree.
And when you put your own shit in there, when you press the button, it works. Or if it doesn't work, you can figure it out because either you were involved in wiring it or maybe the complete install. So you know exactly what to do.
So my wife and I went down to Trail Hero, and she's having troubles because the computer in a JL decides when you can lock and unlock your Jeep.
Yeah. And
she was like, why is it like you get up to a top of an obstacle and you can just unlock it, or you can just lock the front or just the rear? And I'm like, well, because it's just like, it's a button. Like, it doesn't.
I am Scotty. I'm in charge of the Enterprise, and I can put it in manual control.
So before our last trip, we went down to Winter 4x4 Jamboree. And before we went down, I bypassed all that crap. I bypassed the computer and just said, okay, if this locker gets 12 volts, it's locked. I just had to tell her, it's like, now if you break it, it's on you. The computer protects you from like doing stuff you shouldn't. Now it's on you. Like, don't try and do 20 miles an hour and hit your locker. Like, you got to be stopped or close to stopped. And if you're wheeling, you'll learn that real quick.
Right. Tell me something. Why do you think that you can't take a Rubicon, that JK or JL, certainly JL or JT, I know, and you can't lock the front? You have to lock the rear before you can lock the front. Sometimes, and I have not experienced it personally, but I understand sometimes you want to lock the front and you don't want to lock the rear.
There's a ton of good reasons why you do that. And I think it's just because if you're locked front only, your chance of breaking something goes up pretty dramatically.
Right, because it's not as heavy duty as the rear, generally speaking.
Yes. Yes. And then what happens is if you're not a little more experienced, you can get those front axles in a bind and they break real easy. But what you do, the reason why you lock a front axle and you leave the rear unlocked is you can drive yourself around a corner. So there's an obstacle in Sand Hollow on the Forgiven Trail where you have to climb up basically a sheer wall and make a 90-degree turn. If you try and do that with the front and rear locked, we actually watched a brand new 392 try this, and he couldn't make the turn. He couldn't
Sure.
he couldn't unlock. So you need the front locker to be able to climb the wall. But if you have your rear locker locked, it pushes you so you can't turn. So if you have front locker only, it allows you to climb the wall, and you can unlock that rear and it'll drive you around. It'll actually push the right rear to the left.
Was that called a front dig or something? I can't remember what the term is.
It's like a front dig, and an Atlas is more the front dig, a true front dig where you don't have the axle involved at all.
Right.
But if you do have that rear involved and you have it unlocked, only one of the wheels is going to spin, so that outside wheel will spin, and it'll actually push you around that wall, and then you can shimmy yourself down to make that turn.
Yeah, you're almost like dragging the rear at that point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing things, and this is one of the reasons why I like the buttons that aren't, they're not computer controlled. They're a direct connection to something. I like having all those manual options. It can get you into trouble, but it can also allow you to do things that a computer controlled Jeep won't allow you to do. So, and you have to have some knowledge and some experience to make it do those things. And you're always going to, it's just like you mentioned the Atlas. It's just like the Atlas where you can choose to have the front axle engaged or the rear axle or both.
Yeah. And an Atlas, so I do a lot of stuff with an Atlas. So there's obstacles that I'll run on where you cannot get yourself in a position to finish them without an Atlas. And, this last time I was doing an obstacle called the Soup Bowl, which is on the Maze Trail in Sand Hollow. And you have to engage the front, engage the rear, engage the rear, engage the front. You're like constantly battling this battle to kind of like shimmy yourself in, because you essentially climb into a bowl and you have to get yourself to do like a 45-degree turn in no turning radius.
Right.
So really the only way to do it is either, really the only way to do it's an Atlas effectively. And having that tool and getting used to it, knowing how to use it, is so beneficial.
And you're spoiled once you have that and know what you can do with it.
Yeah, but it's only at a certain level. Like I've seen a lot of people, they want an Atlas just so they can say they have an Atlas. And it's like, where are you in your wheeling journey?
Right.
Because it's a very large investment. An Atlas is not cheap.
No.
And it's like, if you're going to use it, and even I do a lot of 8 and 9 rated trails, a lot of really, really hard stuff. And I don't use it that often. There's a handful of obstacles.
Yeah. The only reason I have an Atlas on my XJ is I had a NP 242 in it, and it was great for the first 80,000 miles. And then it started stretching chains, and I started replacing chains. And the 242 doesn't have the the HD kit, so you can get a better chain. And I mean, I replaced gears, I replaced all kinds of seals, blah 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 blah. It kept stretching chains. I finally said, the hell with this. I'm going to get something that doesn't have a frickin' chain. And I got that Atlas to go in there. And honestly, I'd like to have the Atlas in the kitchen on the island so I could look at it. It is absolutely gorgeous. And it was so funny. I bought this thing. My wife didn't know how much it cost. She just knew why I was getting it. And I was working on it. I was messing with it in the kitchen on the island. And my mother and father-in-law came over, and my mother-in-law she says, how much was that?
No, don't say that. Do not ask that question in my wife's presence, please.
And then I just told her, I just answered the mother-in-law's question. And, she was just curious because, I mean, you know what an Atlas looks like. It's just an amazing thing. And it's so sad. This is not part of the conversation, really. I'm just going to go off on a tangent here. It's so sad to make Jeep modifications that nobody sees.
Yes.
It's like the
It's like,
SYE,
it made it better, I promise. I
Right.
spent a lot of money on it. And all it is
If you just get down here really low and look up, you can see this thing, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
there's been a few times where I've done gears and I get it really, really good, right? You do your pattern and it's perfect. And I'm like,
Honey,
I'm
come
going to put it
here.
behind a cover and I'm going to put oil in it. No one will ever freaking know that I did a good job. No one.
Yeah. So it is absolutely fun, and it's so fun. It's so sad too because I've only got to wheel the XJ with the Atlas on a couple of occasions. I've got a rear locker and ARB in the XJ. I have one for the front, but has not been installed. And man, since I got the Gladiator, I just haven't been doing anything with the XJ. So, but damn it, I'm keeping the thing.
Well, when are you in Utah next?
I can't drive the XJ to Utah. I'd have to trailer it. Well, I don't have the room for a trailer, and I don't have a trailer. I love the idea. I mean, I always thought having a Jeep, pull a Jeep, having a Jeep as a tow rig, pulling another Jeep for the trail. And I'd like to take it out there during EJS. The both of them have big Jeep Talk Show logos on them, stickers. I think it'd be fun to either wheel the XJ and somebody could wheel the Gladiator, or I could wheel the Gladiator and I'd wheel the XJ. I probably would wheel the XJ because I'd like to have more time with that Atlas and the locker and stuff, because it makes a huge difference.
XJs are a really good platform. Like, yeah, they really they've proven themselves.
I got frame stiffeners too, so now it's not a twisty XJ.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I was asking earlier, whenever you're trying to teach somebody, you have these very heavily modified Jeeps, both yours and your wife's. And how do you teach somebody? You don't forget. You understand what they have, and you show them what to do with what they have. So that makes it easy to do. Do you have any kind of? And this may not be you personally, but I think one of the things that many of us feel, that whenever you're dealing with somebody that has many years of experience off-road, and they have a very heavily modified Jeep, and there's no end to that. You can always modify a Jeep more. So we'll just say that for the layman or the new Jeeper, this is a heavily modified Jeep. Do you get where you're frustrated with them and their inability to accomplish things because they don't have the vision or the forethought of dumping $20,000 into axles and modifications and stuff?
I will 100% say that I've definitely been this way over the years, but I've done this long enough that I want the sport to excel. I want people to love their private lands, take care of them, and really push the sport forward. Mm-hmm. And everyone starts somewhere. No one's starting with a Jeep TJ that stretched 14 inches on 43s with an LS that makes 650 horsepower. That's not where people start.
Right.
You start with the stock Jeep Sport that you got because it looked cool. And then your buddy talks you into going on a dirt road and you go, man, that was pretty fun. You go camping on a harder dirt road. That was pretty fun. Then you're like, man, I really want to go out snow wheeling, but I don't have enough clearance. So I want to go to 35s. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it starts. So no one should ever feel bad about being new to the sport. We should embrace all the new wheelers. And I will, like, I'm 100% not going to lie. I make my little duck jokes and stuff like that.
Sure.
But, we're all a community, and my wife and I both love every Jeeper. We're going to be hosting some trails down at Trail Hero this year. We're going to be, guiding people. And my favorite people to teach and guide are the ones that are new and trying something harder than they've ever done. It's like, hey, I want you to know this is my first 7-rated trail, and I'm really scared, and I'm really afraid my Jeep's going to get damaged. It's like, you know what? I will personally take the responsibility to make sure you get through this trail safely, because I want you to have an amazing experience, and I want you to come back, and I want you to go do new modifications and come back next year, and we're going to have an even better time and do harder trails. Like, I think one of the problems we have in the off-roading industry right now is you have this, like, haves and have-nots. It's like, oh, you're not on a Jeep on 40s. It's like, it doesn't matter. They're out there having fun just like you are. Their fun might be a 5-rated trail, 3-rated trail. Their fun might be a dirt road and camping. Mm-hmm. But embrace the fact that that's what they enjoy, and they're growing in the sport. They're helping us grow the sport. So as long as you're a good steward of our public lands and you're willing to take care of them, you're going to be a good steward of the Jeeping community, I will embrace you 100%.
Right. Good. But I'm sure you know of people that I'm talking about where they're not, I don't think there's a lot of them. And that's kind of the point I want to make. I'm not trying to call anybody out. You're a successful off-roader and modified your Jeep quite extensively. And you don't look down on people coming out there. You're probably like me, where you like seeing the joy in their face of the accomplishment, because you remember how that felt. And you can remember back whenever you were at that point. And you also too want, or I want anyway, more people involved in the off-road hobby, because it's so much fun. And of course, you don't have to go off-road to have a Jeep. You can have a Jeep and just modify it, drive it back and forth to work. But I encourage everybody to take it off-road at least once.
I agree.
Because, you go from that standpoint. Yeah. You go from that standpoint of like, holy crap, this Jeep can do all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you don't have to go off-road, and we certainly don't judge you if you don't go off-road. But I think having a Jeep, especially even a moderately modified Jeep, is a safety device, because you never know what nature's going to throw at you, and you may be able to, maybe it won't save your life, but it'll get you home a lot sooner than anybody else.
Or not stuck out in the cold, or being able to help someone else out of a ditch. There's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying, I've definitely seen those people that they're alienating a new wheeler because they're not as experienced, or the rig is not as built. And we were talking earlier about the guy that buys the brand new 392 and it's all built and he's got the big lift, and it's like, those are the people I see as the ones that like to alienate the ones that aren't as experienced.
Oh, that's a good point.
And it's not that you're more experienced, it's that you bought the more capable Jeep, or you paid for the really expensive parts. Doesn't necessarily mean you're a better wheeler than that person. It just means that you bought better parts. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you shouldn't be looking down on them. And honestly, if you're doing that, it probably shows that you're not very well versed in the sport yet.
Right.
Because we're all about, like, people that have been in this a long time, we're all about helping everybody out. I can't tell you how many rigs I've fixed on the trail, pulled out on the trail, pulled out in the snow, because that's what we do. That's what off-roaders in general do. It doesn't matter if you're a Jeep or a Bronco guy, a Toyota guy, it doesn't matter. We are all there for each other to try and make sure everyone gets home safe and enjoys their time.
Yeah. Well, cool. Now, we've talked a lot about the things in general. Let's talk about some of these builds that you've done. I think you've kind of gone over some of the stuff that you've done to your Jeep. And I think you gave us a rundown when you were talking about the one of these builds. So tell people what you've done to your Jeep. What did you start out with, and what do you have now?
All right, so I started out, my current build started out as a 1998 TJ. I bought it as a totaled vehicle, totaled title.
Right.
And I convinced my wife that this was going to be the best vehicle for me to commute to work in. I drive to work for 52 miles each way every day. And my wife, shortly after, so my wife's in the Army, she had to go to school. She was gone for 6 months. And I tore that Jeep apart 2 seconds after she left. So if anybody's ever really, really curious, the whole story, I do a full walkthrough on our YouTube channel, Beaman Builds, at Beaman Builds. But I pulled it down, and I have a really bad habit of going too far with things. So it started out, and I'm like, I'm going to do a little lift. I'm going to do, my goal was to get to 40s. I was like, I'm going to get to 40s. And I'm going to use a stock 4-cylinder. It was a 5-speed truck.
Oh, God, you poor bastard.
Transfer case. And I'm like, that'll be enough for me. And then I was going to do.
We've all said that.
Yeah, everybody, every Jeeper. So I started out with a set of Dana 44s that I got off a marketplace for cheap.
Nice.
And I was just kind of working my way through it. And I had built the whole suspension. Mind you, like, I literally fabricated everything from the ground up. It was all welded on. I did all the math. It was amazing. I had it flexed out in the shop, and I was showing it off to people. And then I have terrible friends, just terrible. The worst possible influence. And they're like, because I like,
what would be good.
Yes, exactly. So I like big horsepower cars. So I have like an old Camaro I restored and stuff like that.
What year?
And like, you're never going to be happy with that 4 cylinder or the 6 cylinder, the 4 liter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Like, you know how hard it is to wheel with a manual? And I'm like, yeah. So it ended up snowballing because I found a LS3 out of a wrecked 2012 Camaro for super cheap. Like the guy needed money really bad, and I got it for a ridiculously good deal. I bought that engine and it literally broke the entire project. So I'm like, well, now Dana 44s aren't going to be enough.
Right.
So I got 1 tons, and I'm like, well,
And you have to have a different transmission, a different transfer
40s?
case. There's all this.
Yes.
We
So
like to
then it
say
was
here on the show.
400 Atlas.
Yeah, we like to say on the show, no modification goes unpunished.
So, and then, I started getting into it, and it was like full roll cage. And I mean, it is, my Jeep is
That's
now.
great. Well, and is this the one you were talking about stretching? It was stretched 14
It's a
inches?
14-inch stretch. Yeah. Like my Jeep is pretty much as far as you're going to push a two-door at this point. Like I'm at a 108-inch wheelbase, fully stretched, comp cut, armor all the way around, custom 3-link front, custom 4-link rear, coilover shocks, onboard air. Like it's got everything. Like it is now ridiculous. But going back to it, it's like now it's the only way it's getting pushed is if I'm doing an 8 or a 9 rated trail.
Right.
And then I dragged my wife, who's in a mostly stock Jeep JL, outside of a lift and some bumpers, and we did upgrade her to 40s and gears, but she has to do whatever I do. So now I push her to do 8 and 9 rated trails.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun, but I enjoy the hobby. I enjoy the opportunity to build stuff, and my whole goal is to kind of like I want to build things the right way the first time. And that's kind of what Wesicon represents is I was going to build it and it wasn't my version of right yet. So it took me an extra 2 years because, like money's not easy to come by and parts are expensive.
Right.
So it's like parts and time, the two things I didn't have. So it took me a long time to build it. But when I rolled it out of the shop, I took it to Sand Hall. I went and did 8 rated trails off the trailer and it worked. It didn't break and I had a great time. And I've since done tons and tons of hard trails with it. And I've broken 1 stub shaft, which I've now upgraded. It'll never break again. And like 3 locker cables because I'm an idiot and I didn't know how to route them right the first time.
So did you change the automatic transmission while I think you said you had a 4-liter in there, the 4.0. Did you change the transmission to automatic, and was it an AW4?
Yeah, so I did change it to automatic, but the AW4 would not have made it. It would not have survived. So,
well, not with the LS, but I mean with the 4.0. I know a lot of TJ owners go to the AW4 route. Yeah,
I would have definitely done that. I was happy with the 4-liter because they're so torquey that if you use a hand throttle, you can run a stick and it'll run great for you. When I went to the LS, it's too much Jeep. It's like so much horsepower. So I ended up going to a TH400 automatic, and it's full manual valve body. So it's like having a stick, but can hold the horsepower, and I don't have to use a clutch.
Right. So the cool thing about and I didn't know this until they did I think it was a Center Force interview. I did not know that they have heavy duty flywheels, so that people with standard transmissions can have that heavy duty flywheel, the heavy flywheel, I should say, will keep turning, and you have less engine stalls. So
yeah, that heavy flywheel almost makes you like a tractor. So if you have a 4-liter 6-cylinder on a Jeep, especially with low gears, it's like a tractor. And the coolest thing about it is when you're going up something hard, your clutch is your gas pedal. Yeah. And it makes it to where you can let off the clutch really, really quickly or depress the clutch really, really quickly, and it'll completely disengage. So let's say you're climbing and you're about to flip over, you engage the clutch and it drops. It like drops the whole front end super quick. And if you're really good with the manual, like there's a guy, Chuck Converse, if you ever go watch his stuff, he drives a manual and he's an expert. He's very, very good. But there's very few people that can drive it to that level.
Right. It takes a lot of practice and thought.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult to drive a manual. I respect anybody who can do it.
Yeah. Um, my gosh, I warned you we're going to shoot for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Sometimes it goes a little longer. I mean, I feel like we haven't even touched the surface here with all the stuff, and that's my fault for not, getting you on the Jeep Build sooner. But was there anything that you wanted to cover here that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to get out there? I mean, we mentioned the YouTube channel. You're not selling anything. You're just doing your thing and showing people what you're doing. Maybe they can learn from you and their adventures.
Like, if you're an automotive enthusiast in general, I would love for you to follow us. Like right now, our current project is not very Jeep related. It's a 1,200 horsepower diesel truck build, but we do a little bit of everything. I do a lot of how-tos. I would love to have people come watch us. And my whole goal, like I'd love to entertain people, but I want to help people get out there and work in their shop. That's my whole goal, is like, don't be afraid to go try something new. And I do want to encourage the overall Jeeping community, especially our new wheelers. It's like we're a group that there are some people that are not going to support you in this hobby, but there's vastly more people that are going to support you in the hobby. Because guess what? We all want to encourage you to do terrible decisions in places you shouldn't have been driving in the first place. But you can go see, like I prominently wheel out west, and there's so many beautiful things to see. You can do anything from mild to wild, but come out the Trail Hero, go to EJS, go to Winter 4x4 Jamboree. We're going to be down. My wife and I will both be down at the Winter Topless event in Vegas. It's an event to support charity. There's no wheeling involved. All you're doing is just taking the top off your Jeep and having a good time going down Las Vegas Boulevard. And you can look at some crazy guy rolling 43s and 650 horsepower down Las Vegas Boulevard. So I'd love to get people out for stuff like that. But we're a community about people that want to take care of our public lands. We want to take care of each other, and we want to encourage people to get outside and enjoy the outdoors.
Right. And it sounds wonderful. So you know how the kids love the social media, and we've mentioned several places already, but where can they find you? Are you on the Instagram? Are you on the Pinterest? How about the TikTok?
So all the major social media sites, we are on at Beaman Builds. I would love to say I am the expert. I answer the questions. My wife manages the social media for us because she's a lot better at that. But YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We do TikTok lives. We've done 3 this week. Like we're very active. So we're always out there doing stuff. We love people to kind of get that, like they're hanging out in the shop with us feeling. So, come enjoy the time with us. We are going to be doing a big event for anybody that's in Utah or near Utah. We're going to have a booth at Whitley Diesel Truck Fest. It's not Jeep related, but we're going to have a truck that's trying to make 1,200 horsepower on the dyno. I'm going to be competing against 2 other trucks to see if I can be the better builder, if it were. So
how often does the diesel engine, especially with 1,200 horsepower, run away and explode? Because that's the thing you see on social media.
Well, I run a common rail, so runaways are much less common.
Uh-huh.
So like you can actually turn it off electronically because it's not mechanically injected. Blowing up though, my wife and I had that conversation. She was like, "Are you really going to try for that much horsepower?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you going to break it?" I'm like, "Maybe."
That's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. But whenever you're pushing something that hard, again, like it's just like the Jeeping stuff, right? Like, hey, I'm going to go try that rock with my Dana 35s. All right, well, see what happens.
Yeah. And the important thing is here, you can accomplish it. It's just the odds are that you're going to break the 35 eventually, and the wheel's going to walk away.
You're flirting with certain death, basically. It's going to happen eventually. But you know what? It'll be a really good time. For anybody that is subscribed to our channel, we're going to have some free giveaways where I'm doing a barbecue for people. I'd love to have as many people out there to support us as we can.
That's great. Excellent. Well, I certainly appreciate you being here, Wes, and it sounds like you're having a great life, and you can barely remember the kids because it's like you're replacing them with so much fun.
Hey, Brooklyn Trees, Christian, and Troy. I got 4 amazing kids. I'm grateful for them.
Are the kids doing anything with Jeeps? Are they in Jeeps, or are they not Jeep people?
They are not Jeep people. They do support us though, which I'm so grateful for. So they'll go down, they'll help us film. My daughter, my oldest daughter, Brooklyn, she just had our first grandchild. She's been out here every day trying to help us organize our Whitley Diesel Truck Fest event. Like,
oh, nice. That's great.
It's been awesome. I'm blessed to have amazing kids. They're out on their own. They're doing great in their own lives, but they still come and visit me, and they still think they love me. I don't know.
Do they apologize to their friends? Like, you're the crazy off-road Jeep guy?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That's standard.
And then they ask me why I do the things I do, and I'm like, I don't know.
No,
it is me.
Yeah, it's a calling. God spoke to me.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
Well, Wes, thank you so much for being here. Great interview, and we'll have to get you back on, especially as you modify more things.
Yes, it'll be both. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Broadcasting since 2010.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.